Hello, everybody. My name is Gabby,
My name's Jesse.
and today we're going to talk to you about Koala, which is an awesome app that is the ultimate pocket-sized sampler, and you can record things with your phone, and you can import audio and create beats using those samples instantly.
Pretty amazing. And it costs how much?
Like $3.99 or $4.99.
Yeah. So we're talking about the ultimate pocket-sized sampler. Essentially, samplers have been around a long time. They have connections with a real deep history of hip-hop music, hip-hop sampling, and there's going to be other videos getting into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But point being is this is kind of taking, like, in my opinion, thousands of dollars of hardware and software and putting it into a $5 app, which I'm not selling it, but it sold me. That's so it's pretty fantastic, and we're gonna get into it.
Yeah. So it's a sampler. What is a sampler?
So a sampler is a piece of software, hardware, like a software in this case, that's able to record audio or samples and give you the ability to edit it, chop it down, affect it, pitch it up, all the things that we'll talk about further, and also play it back by triggering it with different buttons, right? So in essence, you're recording, it gives you the ability to record and play back edited samples.
Yeah. So how does Koala take samples?
So there are a couple different ways to take samples, and we are going to demonstrate some of them. But in short, you can either use your phone, just typical microphone input, as your microphone to input the sample. So recording live audio from sound space, literally recording just anything that's going on around you. Or you can import audio, which would either be importing something that you might have recorded previously, or it can be importing a YouTube clip, and it'll extract the audio from that YouTube clip and make it just an audio file, Spotify, etc. So you really have, like, everything at your fingertips as far as what you might choose to sample, from sounds that are happening in the moment to anything you can find on the internet, pretty much.
Yeah, and even while Jesse was talking, I recorded him talking.
Like, everything at your fingertips as far as what you might choose to sample.
And there it is. It's on my phone, and I can manipulate it and make, Jesse sound. I can play with the pitch button and make him sound like he's a demon or like a chipmunk. Yeah. So there are these cool effects that you can play with, like you can pan, you can pitch, you can do volume, and then also while you're recording, there's an FX button. I can't do this backwards. Also, while you're recording, there's an FX button, and you can even record straight into it with all these different effects, and it'll manipulate it while it's recording. So it's pretty cool.
There.
Yeah, and also if these buttons are too small, I actually use it the most on my iPad. So it looks more like an actual bigger sampler hardware device.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So, Jesse, I just messed with your voice, but I'm going to give you a chance to make your own sounds and show us how it works.
All right. Sounds good. So, as y'all can see here, it comes with 4 banks, and I've filled up some of these ones previously with different sounds, like ranging from kind of drum sounds that I've collected by all kinds of different, like acoustic things. And so this is probably like me banging on a table to yeah, whatever that was, to I think I have like sounds of the subway in here somewhere, acoustic guitars, etc. Right? So what I'm going to try and do real quick right now is just collect some different sounds and see what we can do with it. All right. I really like, for bass drum sounds, like the sound of banging on this desk here, banging on this chair here, you know, all kinds of things that give a really nice bass tone. So, right, and you get that. That's actually pretty good without doing too much to it. But if I wanted to, I could pitch it down further so it really has like a bassy feel. All right. Maybe like a snare could be like a snap or something like that, right? Where's my snap there? Oh, so that recorded in with the reverb on, which is actually pretty cool. We're going to try that again real quick. Cool.
And then are you going to chop that down?
Yeah, I'm going to chop that down. So through the editor here, you can see the length of the sample. All right. And going to kind of cut it down to just one of those. And it'll give me more just. So. Whatever that might be, right? Some pretty cool stuff you could do might be like, I have these bells sitting here. So recording these. And then I'm actually able to like reverse that, which gives it a really cool kind of atmospheric effect. Pitch it down, right? Whatever it might be. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do here. So
but after you get those samples, how do you put it together?
So after you get those samples, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can put it together. And I'm going to go back maybe to like a pre-recorded bank here. And what's really cool is you can either jam with it on the fly. So essentially I'd be using, just pushing the pads here.
So on the top, after you're done catching the samples, then you click the sequence button that's right in the middle. And that's how you start playing with it.
Well, so you can actually play with it in any mode.
Okay.
But yeah, if you go to the sequence mode, that's when you can start recording those samples, right? So if I were to select, for example, an empty bank here, such as this one, and hit record, it's going to put me into that bank. And that's kind of like a little metronome going there. All right. So now that's looping, right? And what's nice about that is I can just kind of like let that roll. I can add stuff on top of it, right? If I was using this in a live context or like in a session, now I just kind of have a beat going that I could work within. But when I feel ready to, I can start capturing more audio and laying on top of it, right? Another cool thing is there's this keyboard function. So I have this sound here, which is a subway car playing in reverse. But if I were to assign that to the keyboard function, I can kind of jam on that tonally, right?
Yeah. So essentially, it takes a sample and lays it out on the piano.
Yeah. And what's even cooler is that as far as like the accessibility is concerned, it's set to pentatonic. So like, right, any note's going to work in there.
Yeah. And then if you have someone who wants to go beyond pentatonic, you can change the mode using the drop down menu on the left.
Play open line up here, which we can, I guess, like right? But you can see there's a whole bunch of options in there. Similarly, you can edit stuff like as it's playing back. So if this was playing and I have my BPM set, right? If I wanted to kind of change that up, I should be able to just kind of increase the tempo and it'll kind of turn it into a faster thing there.
That's cool.
Yeah. Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then
yeah, go ahead.
You can also, if you go to perform, which is if you go back to the top on the top right, if you click perform, you can actually add effects to the sequences you just made. Yeah. You want to show us, Jesse?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we'll work within that same thing that we just recorded. Maybe I will lay down a little keyboard thing from what I was just showing you there.
Slow that tempo back down a little bit. Work with that. And then if I go into perform here, I have all kinds of things from this bit crush feature. That's pretty cool. You can also hit this hold button, which will then hold it there instead of it being like a sliding effect. Yeah. So adding some reverb. Kind of starts turning it into a whole other thing, which is pretty cool. Stutter. Etc. Right? And that's what it calls vanilla. So there's also strawberry, which is like, I guess, even next level of effects. You can kind of add some dub. Compressor, etc. End up with something that it doesn't even resemble the original, but all of a sudden you have all these like effects that really add this level of like, it feels to me more professional, like it kind of gives it this more just full sound, you know? And we'll, I guess, stop it there first. Yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Cool. So that's an example of using sounds that you create or have found in your environment. But you can also import audio and import video.
Yes. So have you done some of that?
Yes, I have done some of it. So I've been really digging Jacob Collier, and I took his recent rendition of Fix You.
What you want, but know what you need.
And so I screen recorded it, and now it is on my phone in my, what's it called? My gallery, I guess. So now it's in my gallery. And all I have to do now is I have to go back to Koala. And I click this thing on the menu on the right, so 3 little lines, and there are all these options. And so you can import audio or you can import video. So I clicked import video, and then all of my videos came up. So I just click import video and click it right there, and then your sample shows up and you can play it. And so that's the exact same thing from the YouTube clip. And then you can chop it up. So if you're going to chop it up, like Jesse showed you earlier, you click edit, And then you can move the brackets around to mess around with it. So then I put it into a sequence. And I already have this bass and snare sound I made before this recording started. And then I started my sequences by just finding different parts of the larger sample and chopping it up. So I got this part.
Lights will guide and ignite your bone. I will try to fix you.
Yep. So if I want to play with it, I
So
just,
beautiful.
yeah. I'm going to click perform and my bank is still there. And I'm going to click play.
Lights will guide. Lights will guide your bones and ignite
That wasn't that great of a transition, but there you go.
and ignite your bones. Try. I will try. I will try. I will try. I will try to fix you. Lights will guide. Lights will guide.
Yep. So there you go. Little thing I made in like 2 minutes. So yeah, it's really cool because, you know, instead of having to download a ton of music onto your phone, you can just screen record, 30 seconds of something and then, recreate a song that you really enjoy.
I'm just thinking, like, from a clinical perspective, I think sometimes, as much as I love having all of the gear, I love just how streamlined this is, and like I love this idea that you just took a song and remixed it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I imagine that in the past there might have been like this, we want to work with this song, well, we're going to have to find a recording of the song, and then we're going to have to import the etc. And like, not only did you create that piece super fast, but you like were able to just work, I think, with that spontaneity of like, oh, like I'm hearing this piece and I'm hearing these ideas and now I'm doing it. And I think that's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then same with what you did. You just took sounds, like you did this, and then that turned into a bass drum. So it just shows how you can like make music from anything, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I were to give a suggestion as far as like how to learn this app, I think it would be just that, like, go out and find anything and turn it into music.
Mm-hmm.
From an accessibility perspective, there is a function to tap it to record and tap it to end record instead of holding it down the entire time that you record.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an incredibly flexible app, and even more so that it actually, I think, pairs with Ableton, which is something that perhaps some other demos might get into too. So you could even integrate this into other software that you might be using.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And then you can also like export whatever you just created on your phone to an MP3 or a WAV file and, keep it or send it to your client for them to keep. I was using this with a client a couple of weeks ago, and she was messing with some of the effects that I didn't even know how to use. And she was just having a blast, just, hearing her voice manipulated, and just, yeah, hearing herself back. And she was so excited. She wanted to share the rest with the rest of her peers. And she was like, everyone, look what I created. And with this app, I was able to export it to an MP3 and then send it to her caregiver for her to have, which was, really special, like a really special memento for them to have as well, especially during, Corona, where I work on a residential facility, so they're not able to see their caregivers as often now. And so, just being able to hear their voice was like really huge.
It actually reminds me too of, I had used this app once with a client who was on a trach, and I think there was this interesting thing going on in our work where they wrote a lot of poetry, but didn't, what am I trying to say? They wrote a lot of poetry, but didn't have audible voice to be able to record it with. And I remember us working with their talk pad at the time and recording their poem through the talk pad and then kind of chopping it up. And just, I think it was really cool because they never liked how sort of robotic the talk pad voice was. And it was like bringing this whole new level of musicality to their poem that they had written and put out there using, that automated voice, and then turning it into like a much more musical thing for them. So yeah, I guess just point being is that it really brings in, for me, the idea of like getting creative with sampling, like we've already talked about, and I think integrating things from the environment that we might not typically think of as musical, recontextualizing, and even sometimes that can go the other way too. Like sometimes it can be making sounds sort of uglier, so to speak, right? Kind of like really distorting something,
Yeah.
or like you did with that voice earlier, like down, gives it these really cool musical qualities.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So that was Koala. Hopefully we'll be able to feature it more on future videos. And we also will be talking more about the socio-cultural and historical context of sampling in future videos as well. But that is how the app works, and a couple of examples of how it's used in clinical practice. And if you have any more questions or want some guidance, feel free to contact us at the Tech Nook. Bye.
Bye.